Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. In this video, the theme is fire. Fire from Gwendolyn, fire from any fire monkeys throughout the board of the towers which are available throughout this game. So in this video, we're only going to be using towers which Gwen can buff using her level 5 and level 18 level traits. So that's going to include the top path Tack, the middle path Wizard, and the bottom path Mortar. But can we do it on this map? One way to find out, and that's by putting down our beloved Wizard to start off with, and we're going to get some guided magic so that we can guide our path to victory here. Can we do it? Yes, we can. Absolutely. Now let's go and get ourselves a Tack shooter when we can. Excuse me? I'm glad this feature is also rolled into custom maps rather than just being in the standard game where you can drive around again. It's honestly made chimps a lot more approachable now, especially towards people who don't really know how to do a lot of chimps runs, which is understandable because chimps is honestly a very, very complicated scenario. I'd like to put my Tack shooter over here, thank you very much. Do you have that special someone on Valentine's Day? If you're like me, nah, you don't, but it's not all that bad. You can be happy for those around you that do have a special someone on Valentine's Day to share that moment with. It's not always about ourselves. It is also about the people around us as well. Those who we are close with, maybe they have a special Valentine's Day. But if you don't, then make the most of a Valentine's Day because you only ever get it once a year. Just like Christmas, just like Easter. It only lasts once a year, so make that special occasion count. So we're going to go with Fireball and then Wall of Fire. Now, when it comes to round 24, I'm not going to worry about a radar scanner or anything that will enable us to shoot camos with, because Gwendolyn's level 3 Cocktail of Fire ability can pop camo balloons without requiring a camo seeing means like from Etienne or from a radar scanner or decamifying the balloons themselves. Her abilities can pop camo balloons. Wall of Fire is up, and we're going to place it over here where this part of the map crosses with one another. We're going to upgrade you to a hot shots with long range tacks. When we get up to Infernal Rain, the fireballs that are produced by the Infernal Rain itself has more pierce if you have super range tacks in comparison to the base damage. Sorry, the base attack, which or the bottom path really, sorry, that only inflicts more damage but has less pierce. So it's better against the bad, but when it comes to the mid game, it's not as good when you want more balloons to be affected rather than just a single balloon to be affected. Then there's also the explosion itself, but 2 pierces with the fireball is better than 1. Round 27, and we are now going to actually get our monkey village up and running. Will it affect this? Yes, it does, which is very good. Grow blocker, then we're going to get ourselves a radar scanner. We're going to keep this at hot shots until we can actually get a MIB up and running because of the fact that, well, if we upgrade this to Arena 5, then we have nothing to use against the purples. So aside from purples, there is nothing that fire cannot solve. Nothing whatsoever. Fire is very good for pierce, very good for damage. It's just these pesky purples which are here that it just simply cannot go up against. Also, we got radar scanner just in time for round 33 because Cocktail of Fire is not going to be able to pop all of these camos simply because of the amount of time that we need Cocktail of Fire being on the field, in which it cannot be all the time on the field. Who is going to say no to a bit of jungle drums? Get those drums jungling away there for more of that brilliant attack speed. Who's going to say no to attack speed on Valentine's Day? Who's going to say no to a bit of fiery passion on Valentine's Day? Round 39, we're going to get ourselves Dragon's Breath so that we can take down the first Moab of the day. And you know what?
Yes.
Let's see, where is Gwendolyn's range? We're going to get ourselves a bottom path mortar. And we're going to pair it with the top path, because recently the top path has given you more of a reason to go with top path rather than middle path. Like, having a bigger amount of damage for one is better than, well, sometimes better than having more attack speed, but the burning damage from shattering shells has increased. By the way, the description is not saying the correct facts, because by default it's 10 layers, but with top path, with Balloon Buster, shattering shells goes through 15 layers. 15 damage per every time it does continuous damage against a balloon. That is a frightening amount of power. Okay, good. Heater Up does affect the beloved shattering shell. Oh, sorry, signal flare here. It's not that I think it's going to necessarily benefit it, but, you know, every little helps. Tesco's. Every little helps. Or if you read on a website called Tescopoly, it's every little hurts. That's one thing I learned when I was doing my A-level business in secondary school, is that we was given a task to research like a certain kind of business, and one business I researched into myself as to like certain practices that are going on. Like, this is like records, well, not records, but stuff that you can find online in public. It wasn't like I have to work at Tesco's to find out their inner findings and stuff like that. And the company I researched was Tesco's, because it is just one of those companies in the UK that is one of the easiest to research. They're a very big business in the UK. They're also doing very well. They're also a multinational business as well. Some countries they have not done so well in comparison to others. I think one or two they've had to like close down because they weren't able to properly adapt to that country's environments and stuff like that, and how they shop. So it's always a matter of adapting your practices in order to suit that environment. Okay, MIB is up and running, so now we can go with Green and Fire, which means we no longer have to worry about those pesky purple balloons. Even though actually shattering shells can pop them, we still would rather have the MIB than not have it, honestly. And you're wondering about what tier 5s we're going to go for, because of the fact that we can't get all tier 5s of these. It is financially impossible to get Bloon Incineration, Infernal Ring, and Wizard Lord Phoenix. Honestly, I think that the best tier 4 out of all 3 of these is Summon Phoenix. So we're going to get multiple Summon Phoenixes, sorry. But we're going to get only one of each of these, but we're going to be at tier 5. I think it's a fair compromise. I'd rather have more Phoenixes than more Arena Fires or more Shattering Shells. Especially when you only need 1 Shattering Shells to remove the fortified property off of balloons. Well, except of course if your name is ZMLHYYS or if your name is bad. If the Mortar Paragon does not remove the fortified property of ZMLHYYS, I'm not expecting it if Ninja Kiwi ever gets to the point of making the Mortar Paragon, which I like to think that they will make a Paragon of every single balloon at some point. But I would say that it would be OP if it strips the fortified property off a bad, or the only exception is if it's like a 1 to 2 time ability activation where it strips the fortified property off of every single fortified balloon, including bads, and gives them a permanent burn effect. Not like a temporary one where it lasts for only a little bit. A permanent burn effect until the balloon itself has been popped. Like, I think that would be a very good ability to have. One that's kind of based off of the bottom path rather than the middle path side, because per shell, the bottom path does the, like, now I'm sounding silly, because the top path also does a huge amount of damage per shell, but isn't it statistically that the bottom path always does like the most amount of damage out of all of them? Because middle path does a lot of damage, but it's like you rely on an extremely high rate of fire rather than a high amount of damage per shell. Whereas top path and bottom path, they do a high amount of damage per shell. One of them does damage over time, and one of them is just raw damage. Now that we have our tier 4s up and running now, I've forgotten about Summer Phoenix. What are we going to go for first? I honestly would like to go for Balloon Incineration first. Number 1, it's cheaper than Inferno Ring. But number 2, until we get to round 97, we don't have to deal with the... But again, we can already strip the Fortified layers off. But we can do that even more easily with the Balloon Incineration. It means that we can strip away the Fortified property of just that bit more easily. And from there, be able to completely incinerate the balloons to the very core. And impress Gwendolyn, because Gwendolyn likes fire. As you probably can tell by her fiery personality and weaponry, which is just a literal flamethrower. If this game was realistic, then any contact with fire, presuming that these blimps are made out of helium or hydrogen, or any other kind of gas that is extremely susceptible to fire and just spontaneously combusts from contact with fire, then any fire weaponry would just be extremely deadly against them, because of the fact that they will just instantaneously explode. But then again, that could be a factor of the fact that it has to be on the inside of the attack in order to pop the balloon from within. Because on the outside, it could be a very different story. Trust me, I've not tried to light up a balloon using fire and seen what happens from there. Like, I'm not that kind of person that likes to do home experiment sort of stuff, honestly. But then again, the more you say that you're not something, the more likely that you are to be that something. So, I think I'll just keep my mouth shut, to be honest. Anyways, round 75. We'll not use, actually we have used Gwen's ability, but we will use it here actually. Despite the fact we can remove the regrow property off of these balloons, I'd rather just be safe and use the Firestorm ability. Also, in Update 41, Cocktail of Fire and Firestorm both have had big buffs to them when it comes to their... I think it's either their duration or the amount of damage that they do, but I'm definitely leaning towards the damage aspect over the amount of time that they last. I'm gonna summon a Phoenix here just to get through this scenario. We can use the Firestorm, and because of how spaced out the ability, or sorry, the ceramics are, we can use Firestorm again when the next set of ceramics comes out. Man, I love fire. I think fire is very similar to water, where we can't live without it, but with too much of it, it's just so dangerous. Like, think about it. What is the sun in the sky? It's just a gigantic ball of fire. Okay, let's just use the venom there. And what's water? Something that is all around us. If you think about it, like everywhere you look, there's bound to be an ocean in that direction. But it's also something that could lead to our demise because of how dangerous it can be. Like, we know as much about space as we do than the bottom of our oceans on planet Earth. Like, that's just how, like, warped but also mysterious the bottom of our oceans are, because they're just so mysterious. Like, we know very little about what is living within the depths of the waters, and that is why water and fire, I believe, are more similar to each other than we think, because of the fact that they are both dangerous in terms of like a natural thing, but it's also something that we cannot live without. Like water, obviously, it enables our plants to grow. It enables us hydration. This has gone off tangent here. I should be talking about fire here, not water, but it's just a simple matter of fact that it's actually, speaking of water, we haven't had a tower in Bloon's tower defense. Well, actually, aside from the ice tower, but I don't think that really counts. That actually deals a water-based damage. Like frozen water, yes, but not like warm water or hot water or cold water. This is freezing, it doesn't count, okay? So I think if there was ever like a future hero or a future tower, then it would be really interesting to see a water-based attack. Like, we've got plenty of fire attacks, but what's the opposite of fire? Water. And I don't think we've got a single kind of water-based attack so far within the game. Let's see, round 84 is done. Now we're going to go on to round 85 and then ignite these ZMLHYYS to the ground. Pretty comfortable game so far. This little section here of the map is really giving us all that we need in order to, A, place our towers down, but B, as well, be able to pop all of the balloons in. Like, it's a very nice, neat little area. Oh, we should remove a fortified status off of each balloons. Thank you very much. So what do you think about water and fire? Are they more similar than people say it out to be? Or am I just talking absolute nonsense? Because I'm happy either way, but I like to think that there's definitely more out there than people let on, honestly. I like to think that there are similarities between two different things. But those two different things could be like opposites. North and south. They are very similar because they are opposite ends of a pole, but in different directions. One is Arctic and one's Antarctic. Please don't tell me you don't know which one's which, honestly. Antarctic south, penguins. North, Arctic, polar bears. That's a good way of differing between them. Fortified Moabs. We should focus on removing the fortified status. This is honestly one of the strongest parts about bottom path Mortar. Is the fact that we can remove both the camo status and we can remove the fortified status. I would say the regrow aspect is the least important. I would definitely say that removing the camo and removing the fortified part is more important than removing the regrow aspect. But I'll definitely take the removal of the regrow aspect than not having that feature at all. So, nearly 45,000. There's 45,000. 45,000. 45,000. Oh my goodness sakes. I didn't mean to make that, honestly. It's just something that's sprouted out. I'm not going to give you Arcane Blast because that'll make you blue rather than red. This is all about passion, love, and fire. Mainly fire. What do you think of when you think about the color red? Love, passion, and fire. And we have plenty of that on the field. Okay, so now we've got our tier 5s that we want to have. Gwen's at level 19, so these should attack 30% faster and have 30% bigger radius. But does it mean that the shells have a 30% larger explosive radius? Or is it just the dummy range in which the Mortar has a 30% bigger radius? Because I would rather if it was the case that it applies to all of these naturally and it just gives straight up 30% to its sight range, then it should be slightly tinkered with the bottom path Mortar so that each blast that comes down has a 30% larger blast radius rather than its dummy range being increased by 30%. Okay, so we're going to place down more of these beloved beings, our wizards, our tier 4 wizards. I definitely think it's the best tier 4 out of all of these, honestly. I don't think that is really up for debate. Who here is going to say, well, I really like it if you have multiple shattering shells or multiple ring of fires, which is Bloon Tower Defense 6 Index's favorite tower, by the way. They love to really talk about the Ring of Fire and its wonderful aspects. Not really, actually. Like, I think the tower overall is a little bit underwhelming, I'm not gonna lie. I don't hate it, but I just think it's underwhelming. Round 97 and Fortified ZMLHYYS. We cannot remove the Fortified status until it goes down to BFBs. And you know what, the greatest strength of round 98 is removed because we can just remove a fortified aspect out of all of these balloons. Tens of thousands every second. The power of balloon incineration cannot be denied. Or fire in general. Fortified deities? Nah. Oh, we do have some lucky escapees. Lucky for the balloons, I suspect. Right. Another one of you. We're going to put you on there and... you know what? Gonna need more gas. Gonna need more lighter fluid. gonna need more of everything, mate. Yeah, let's just unleash the phoenixes. Unleash them all. There's no such thing as too much fire, but there's definitely too much of a thing as too much unnecessary commentary. Great. We done that scenario, folks. This was definitely a Twilight Forest, but with the twi part removed. This forest is absolutely lit. So that, folks, is what you would call a successful chimp scenario with a lot of fire involved. I hope this has lit your hearts up with a lot of fire. Obviously, a lot of these wizard monkeys spawn in very late, but this was a very, very good starting tower for this scenario. Like, we had one hiccup there, but that was about it. Just some targeting priority shenanigans needed, and that was game, set, and match. Yeah, if you get Arcane Blast, it does turn their hats largely blue, which is another reason why I didn't get it. You don't need an Arcane Blast, unless, of course, you are pursuing Top Path, and then that is definitely a thing. So we've got here Gwendolyn with 125,000, mainly used for buffing our other towers. Bloon, so Inferno Rain with 538, or near enough 539,000. Like, who's going to deny those 5 pops? Bloon Incineration with over 1 million. Obviously, that was our star of this fiery show today. So let me know what you think about the current fire balloons in, sorry, the fire towers in this game. Fire balloons. They cannot be hit by pretty much anything except absolute zero. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know what you thought of this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and if you don't subscribe, you will not get that tier 5 tower that you are looking for in your next diamond box. Thank you all so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, everybody.